You are going to die. Yes, you are going to die. No matter how much money you make, how many women you sleep with, or how many cars you buy, you, my friend, you are going to die. Yes, just like every other living organism on this planet, just like every other mortal soul. Now you see, the problem is not the awareness of death. Hell, we as human beings, we as Homo sapiens are one of the most aware species. The problem, however, is the acceptance of this mortality. Yes, we all may theoretically agree to the fact that we are all perishable body and we shall perish soon. So the problem is not the lack of awareness about it. The problem arises when we don't use our consciousness to accept it. You see, I was around 7 or 8 years old when my granddad passed away. And yes, irrespective of the fact that I do savor some of the most cherishable memories, I do hope that he could stick around for a little long. Or I wish he could have taught me this lesson a little soon. Because even on his deathbed, breathing his last few moments of life, I don't really remember him complaining about the uprising death. I mean, irritated because of his cancer? Sure. In pain, annoyed and pissed off due to his cancer? Sure. But whenever I sat with him, whenever I asked him to tell me stories or just talk in general, I remember him being full of life. Maybe my parents weren't, his other brothers, his sons and daughters weren't, but he, my friend, he was still quite full of life. Because amidst all this pain and grief, amidst all this suffering and vanity, he was aware and he was very accepting of his mortal self. A man born in the 1920s with the extreme prejudices, sexism and injustice, he was quite an aware man. Maybe a little patriarchal, maybe a little sensitive, but still a lot better, miles better than the others living in the 1920s. Because for what I remember, the little that I remember, I still remember him being quite a liberal soul. Now, the reason I'm talking about my grandfather 22 years later, 22 years after his demise, is because it actually took me this long to gain his wisdom and be a bit more aware about life. Now, I'm sure it may sound a little weird and it may come off as a little too much for some of you all watching this video, but this is what I wanted to talk about in this episode. Hell, I can't even think how awkward would it be for my parents to watch this video, but screw it, I want to do it. You see, my grandfather had a government job in the electrical and postal department. He wasn't clearly filthy rich, he wasn't clearly balling, but he was a very smart and he was a very practical man. He managed to raise 5 kids, he managed to buy 2 houses, he managed to buy 2 pieces of land, and he did it all while staying out and working for it. Yes, he traveled the country left, right and center. He worked even after his retirement to support my mom's and my father's super ambitious careers, and he did it all with a smile. But the point being, he did this all whilst being aware of his mortality. Yes, he knew he would die. Yes, he knew the life is not finite. Yes, he knew about his own set of worries, but he was also very aware of his mortal truth. I mean, he did this all. He did this all of the extra job, the extra hour, the extra house, the extra savings. And he didn't do it because it was his life's purpose or he was born and sent in this world to do it. I honestly don't feel this was one of his career goals. I honestly don't think this was one of his life's ultimate purposes. But he did it all because that's what life was all about. He did it all because living a life, living the beautiful life, was itself a mighty purpose. I remember him making me fall in love with dogs. I remember him curating and developing my creative skills. I remember him helping me become a better storyteller, a better writer, editor, producer, cinematographer, or a content creator that I am today. Hell, he even managed to pass me down his mid-20s books. This is a book he bought when he was 26 years old, and I still have it till date. It is still relevant till date. And I honestly don't know if he knew me so well as a 7-year-old or was it just his pure instincts and wisdom. My granddad even managed to leave me some goddamn property that I was not even aware of. Now all of this could be a bit of a narcissistic self, but I don't know what was his reason. I could never know his reason. So the only thing that I can do in my power is probably make a video about him and make him my immortal soul. Because if there is anything I could possibly do in my internet career, if there is anything that I could possibly be proud of in my internet career and solidify my granddad's presence and importance in my life, I could probably do that in today's video. And if I do this right, if I do this correct, I think I would be a decent grandkid to be called. And I think I would have done my due diligence in being a privileged grandkid of my great-granddad. You see, I'm 29 years old. I have a couple of businesses. One of the businesses recently incurred some financial losses. The company is called TMB Basics. Some vendors and manufacturers were acting all crazy. We needed to cancel them out and we suffered some financial losses. So this happened a couple of weeks ago. I was sitting on my bed looking at the fan and wondering whether this entrepreneurial thing, this content creation thing was even my thing. It was even something I was fit to do, was even something I was wired or built or sent in this world to be doing. I honestly had my self-doubts. I honestly thought this was not even cut for me. But then it hit me. Then it got clear. You see, the reason I chose to be an entrepreneur, the reason I chose to be a businessman, the reason I chose to be a content creator was not because of the viewership, the profits, the finances, or anything else that there is. I just loved creating products. I just loved creating content. I just was in love with the process. This was not about the outcome. This was not about the end product. This was about the damn process. All of this was rather more about my legacy. Yes, I will die. Just like you and every other 4,000 people watching this, I shall too die. Yes, just like my beloved dog, a cat, or a monkey, I shall too die. But the only difference we humans have, the only difference we Homo sapiens have is our alive, thriving consciousness. Because the only thing that differentiates us from the chimpanzees, dogs, camels, and cats are and is our damn consciousness. A consciousness that can actually make us foresee a hypothetical situation where we haven't even been. A consciousness that can help us fantasize and dream about a future where we haven't even lived. A dog doesn't get to decide what he thinks for tomorrow. A cat doesn't get to decide what he may eat tomorrow. But we human beings, we can do it at our own will. Yes, we humans do have the conscious power to foresee our future, yet we choose to think about the trivial things. Yet we choose to behave, act, and operate like the trivial species. Yes, yet we choose to worry about things that don't exist. Yet we sit and cry over a heartbreak, a cheaper house, a smaller car, and all these trivial things that don't even matter in this mortal being. My grandfather was my role model. He was my inspiration. He was my idol. And I do wish to have spent a little more time with him. But the thought itself, the thought of getting to spend more time with him itself is a very trivial thought to be. You see, this thought itself is stupid, mundane, and absolutely dogmatic. So, I'm happy that he's not here. And I'm happy that he's gone. I am happy that he chose to live life with the purpose of living it and accepted death when it came to his life. Because gentlemen, it was this purpose to live and the acceptance to die which literally forced me to solidify his legacy. And it was the same purpose, the same acceptance that gave me the strength to be aware of my own mortality. Now my question to you is, how do you plan to live your mortality? Will it be by chasing another girl, buying another car, getting a bigger house, another job, or would it be about doing something a little more meaningful to make your own legacy? There is no greatness coming, my friend. The greatness is already here. And it's called being alive with a damn conscious as a human fucking being.